Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe to the channel for regular content on ancient architecture, as well as all the latest news from the world of archaeology. Egypt is famed for its incredible selection of ancient pyramids, some large and some small, and some smooth and some stepped. And although they're long-standing symbols of the ingenuity of the ancient architects and builders, one pyramid really stands out as a Great Pyramid disaster. I'm talking about this lob-sided monstrosity of the Egyptian skyline, the badly eroded Black Pyramid of Amenemhat III. All that remains today of this Middle Kingdom pyramid is a ruinous mound of mudbrick, with the outer backing and casing stone taken away and reused. According to John Shea Perring, the stone was used for tombs and houses of the neighbouring village of Menshi. Apparently, this village was born from the ruins of a Greco-Roman town called Ptolemais, so maybe Perring was implying the Greeks or the Romans were the ones that took the stone from the Black Pyramid. But whenever the stone was taken, we can't blame its appearance solely on the people that reused the stone, because this project was doomed from the start, and was most likely a ruin long before the stone was taken. Located at Dashur, directly east of the Bent Pyramid of Snefru, the Black Pyramid is one of two pyramids built by the pharaoh Amenemhat III, who reigned sometime in the 18th to 19th centuries BC. John Perring was the first to investigate the structure in the 19th century, saying how a huge amount of debris surrounded the site and prevented access to the pyramid's interior. In 1894, major work was led by Jack de Morgan, who in his first season created this plan of the site, but sadly he found no way inside. In his second season, he would discover an extensive subterranean network of passages and chambers, and sometime in the future even more would be discovered. From the outside it may not look like much, but there's an awful lot going on underground. There are two entrances into a multi-levelled subterranean world, and it's accessed by several stairways. Regarding the substructure, I'll have to create a separate video another time, because it's an extensive, complicated set of passages and chambers, and without a good 3D model, it can be hard to visualise. But for those that want to learn more, I'd recommend Keith Hamilton's 89-page guide, which you can download for free on the Academia website. I've left a link in the description below. And a big thank you to the History of Egypt podcast, who supplied me with video clips and pictures I could use. Do check out their fantastic website at EgyptianHistoryPodcast.com. In this video, I'm concerning myself with the appearance of the Black Pyramid superstructure and why the project really was a complete disaster. There is strong evidence the pyramid was a finished, smooth-sided pyramid cased with fine Chura limestone, but it was a project riddled with problems. The pyramid is believed to have measured 105 metres in length, with a pavement all around the bottom edge. Casing stones and backing stones were discovered in the rubble, and dovetail clamps or butterfly connectors were used to connect them together. These clamps were made of wood and were laid in a bed of pink plaster, firmly fixing the backing blocks and also the casing stones together. Experts think the pyramid stood at 75 metres in height, but the exact measurement is not known, because there is some debate over the angle of the pyramid sides. From the casing stone fragments discovered in the rubble, their angles vary from 54 to 57 degrees, but we also don't know the angle the blocks were laid down at. In some pyramids, casing stones were laid down horizontally, but in other examples they're inclined. There is also a body of thought there were two angles on the sides, and, if true, the Black Pyramid would have looked similar to the nearby Bent Pyramid of Snefru. Whether this is correct we don't know, But if it was, it may have not been by design, but a redesign midway through the construction process. From the rubble, we do have this wonderful discovery. This Pyramidion was found in October 1900 and it slopes at an angle of 54 degrees and 30 minutes. It was found in the ruined Pyramid Temple, but if you compare the Pyramidion to the pyramid itself, well, you can see the problem. One of them is still in good shape and the other not so much. Therefore, most believe that this Pyramidion never sat on top of the pyramid, but it was always kept inside the Pyramid Temple. If it did sit on top of the pyramid, it would have been exposed to the elements and sandblasted for hundreds of years. But it's still smooth and shiny, and we can look at it up close today because it's on display in the Cairo Museum. Also, you don't get the impression it tumbled down the side of the pyramid from top to bottom. We would expect to see a lot more damage. Interestingly, the almond part of the royal cartouche engraved on the Pyramidion looks rough, like an attempt was made to remove it, and this was likely done in the Amarna period of the New Kingdom, and that's because of the change in religion and the rise of Aten. So, in the New Kingdom, did people climb to the top of the pyramid and do it? Or was the Pyramidion always kept in the temple? I would suggest the latter. So, the Pyramidion is one mystery, the other is how the pyramid became so dilapidated. Well, evidence from the internal passages implies the substructure was hastily rearranged, meaning that problems started during construction. It is believed that the pyramid slumped, a major disaster in the early stages of the project. But why? Why did this happen? Well, compared to the mudbrick pyramid of Senusret II, which I discussed in my last two videos, this pyramid does not have a bedrock mound incorporated into it, and there is also no limestone skeleton to keep the mudbricks in place. Furthermore, the brickwork was not the best. No mortar was used in the construction, instead the bricks just rested on thin layers of sand. So, if the Black Pyramid slumped during construction, disaster would ultimately follow, and that seems to be exactly what took place. But it's not just the materials used to build it, but also the quality of the bedrock it was built on, combined with its position in the landscape, which was low on the valley floor. According to Jacques de Morgan, who excavated the site in the 19th century, the bedrock the pyramid was built on was totally unsuitable, and completely different to the rest of the Dashur Plateau. There are thick bands of very hard brown clay, with cracks in all directions. The clay is hard because it's lost its moisture, and hence it easily crumbles. So, when building the substructure, the corridors and chambers that were dug into the ground were then lined with fine limestone to give the interior a better finish. But as Amenemhat III would find out, rising groundwater would cause havoc at the construction site. If you have just one high flood season, or maybe a torrential rainstorm, saturating the hard clay-rich ground, and then combine that with the crushing weight of a growing pyramid above, well, there is serious risk of subsidence. And in the pyramid substructure, we see clear evidence that this took place. In some of the chambers we can see numerous stress cracks in the walls and roof beams. There is also evidence that some of the floors sank, leaving noticeable and unplanned steps on the ground. From analysing the substructure, this slumping appears to have happened during the building process, while several chambers were still being lined with fine limestone. It is the worst possible place to build a mighty pyramid. The entire structure was unstable, and, even when complete, there was a strong possibility the substructure and hence the pyramid would collapse. and if it was used by the king, the burial chamber, the mummy, and the grave goods would have been in real danger. It's therefore no surprise the pharaoh built a second pyramid. There is no evidence he actually used the Black Pyramid. So, disaster struck because of the poor quality clay-rich bedrock, and also because of where the pyramid was built, right next to the River Nile, having an elevation 20 metres lower than the bent pyramid to the west. The pyramid was doomed from the start. The complex nature of the chambers and passages also weakened the core, and no specific stress-relieving structures were added to try and support the weight of the pyramid above. But even if they had, such measures may not have worked anyway. What's ironic is the original name of the pyramid. Amenemhat is mighty and perfect. In truth, it's anything but. I don't know how the pharaoh kept a straight face. But because we found many casing stones inside the rubble, it does seem the pyramid was finished, even though the disastrous slumping happened during construction. The slumping may have led to the pyramid resembling the bent pyramid, with the top half of the structure having a different, shallower angle. As stated, the casing stones were used to build a nearby village, but I would suggest the pyramid was not found in a perfect state, not like how Ramesses the Great found the pyramid of Senusret II. I would suggest it was already a part-collapsed ruin. Today, the pyramid stands at just 47.5 metres in height, and that is just 63% of its original proposed height. So, in conclusion, there are many reasons this pyramid looks the way it does today. It was built too close to the River Nile, and the elevation was too low. The bedrock was clay-rich and poor quality, and when saturated, the bedrock was in danger of moving. The pyramid also had no stone skeleton, and so the mud bricks could not be kept in check, and the mud bricks themselves were even placed without mortar. There was a slumping disaster during construction, but how it came to its final form, whether affected by another sudden slumping event or is the result of gradual decay, we don't know. I would suggest that post-construction, there was one particularly bad Nile flood season, and this led to its collapse. Eventually, the stone would be taken away, and the pyramid was left to rot. Amenemhat did build another pyramid complex, and although looted in antiquity, it is presumed that this pyramid located at Hawara was the final resting place of the king, and that's because of the security measures he installed. Today, we look at the pyramids of Egypt as a beacon of the success of this amazing civilization, but one of them, the one called Amenemhat is mighty and perfect, is an important reminder the Egyptians were an imperfect civilization. Bad planning, cheap materials, cutting corners and sloppy workmanship never result in success, and it seems that this pharaoh found that out the hard way. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.